Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to insert the hat inserts for when you're doing hats. So what you're going to want to do is kind of hold it this way. You've got the bolts facing forward, okay? Now under here, it sort of pivots. So as you're putting it through, you're going to want to make sure you look in here. So this is a bearing inside. So as you're putting it in, it's got to be that way so that it fits through this. So you're holding it up, you got the bolts facing forward that way. As you hold it up, you kind of want to turn this bearing and then use your other hand and hold it in place. So as you're putting it in, that part is up and it slides through. Just push straight, just keep it nice and straight through. And now when you get it to here, you can kind of, these bolts are slid into place. So slide it to the edge of this frame into the last one, and then you're going to slide that into place. Make sure both bolts are up a little bit so that you have enough room to push it in. I was just about not up and up there, so it was kind of a little bit hard to push in. So just make sure your bolts are up just a bit so that it does go in nice and easy. So again, doing the same with the other. Holding it this way. It's a bearing in the middle, so only the middle turns. So just turn the middle until you get it upwards, and then hold that straight. Make sure it slides through, nice and straight. And now this bar, let me get a different angle there as you're putting in the second one. So this bar here, it will actually, it will slide back and forth independently, like that. So all you're doing is sliding it over, and you're pretty much coming flush beside the other one. And when you find that spot, push it into place. Again, the bolts are in the spot where they'll slide in. Just make sure both bolts are up enough to go in. And once you get that spot, just slide it in firmly to the back of that bracket. So both brackets are flush against each other and nice and taut. And then once you get it there, you tighten these bolts down with a star head. Okay, so once it's in place, again, making sure that this is pressed firmly against the back so it's nice and straight and tight against the back. And then just screw these down nice and firmly. As I'm screwing it down, I'm sort of pushing into the back a little bit as well. Gonna need a little screwdriver for this one. Again, pushing back as I screw it in tight just to make sure that it's pressed firmly against the back as I'm tightening it. And with a small screwdriver, you'll notice there's a light here. It sort of impedes you from doing it like this, so you gotta sort of slide or just kind of put it right behind the light like that and then come in from behind. And then on this last one, there's no light here, so and just twist that in, again, pushing. That's it. Okay, so you're gonna get this piece for your hats, and it actually asphyxiates to a table, so it holds in place. So find a table. You got about that much thickness to play with in the thickness of the table. So you've got to find the right table to be able to slide that in, and then twist that until it's firmly nice and tight in place. This is just twisting it and I'm turning it up into the table. Just about there now. Just make sure it's nice and tight so it doesn't move while you're working on your hat. It's firmly in place. Okay, so once you get this firmly in place, you're gonna grab your hat piece. And there's a groove here, so these will be facing you. There's a little niche here, and that's actually the center. So you're gonna find the center here and line that up. And all you're doing is just pushing it straight through. And there's 3 clips. You got one here, one down here, and then one over on this side. And what's happening is as you're pushing it into place, into the center, there's a little groove there. Just make sure it's in place. And then as you push, it will clip all 3 of those clips in place. And now you want to make sure that all 3 clips, so if you kind of give it a little push on each side to make sure all 3 have gone in correctly. So the bottom one wasn't there. It sounded like it was, but it wasn't. So you got to just give it a push in on all 3 and make sure that it is firmly in place before you start to put the hat in. Okay, so from this point, there's a little clip on the outside. I got another one here as an example. There's a little clip here. It's on the outside. Just unclip that. And then it sort of catches down and then it pulls out of the top. So don't just pull up, because if you just pull up, you're gonna bend this. So every time you pull this out, you wanna pull it away first and then let it come up. Because if you just go to pull it straight up, it's going to bend and you're going to wreck this piece. So pull out and then up, and then allow it to fall freely beside it. So I'm gonna do that with the piece that's connected inside. So with this one here, I'll unclip it. Again, making sure I pull outwards because it's stuck there, outwards, and then allow it to fall freely beside you down there. And now we're ready to place our hat in here, and then this part's for the actual brim part to go around it, but we'll get to that point. Okay, so you're gonna wanna grab your hat, and you're gonna wanna make sure that you have 4 of these clips handy, because you're gonna need them as you're placing it to actually hold it into the place that you set it. So just ensure you have 4 clips. You have your hat. And what you're doing is, on the inside of your hat, this one's Velcro, okay? You're gonna unbutton it or whatever it is. So open up the back completely and then start to flip this flap right out. So pull that all the way around. Has got to be pulled out like that. And that's how it's gonna go onto here. So this part here is going to actually slide underneath this part, exposing the brim, of course. So as I put that in, I'm making sure that my hat is going, this is where you kind of clip it in, these bars here, so make sure that they're within the bars so it's not like that, so you're missing the bar. You want to make sure the hat is in both of those, and then kind of bring it up and around. And now I'm going to change angles here so you can kind of see from this angle. Okay. All right. So what you're kind of doing is just fold the brim back a bit to be able to get to that little bit of material there. And then again, you're going to want to get the center of your hat and flip this underneath. So what I'm kind of doing is setting it, I'll fold that back a bit, and I'm just holding the material and I'm kind of sliding back and forth to let it slip under. And then as it's slipping under, you want to get it as far as it'll go under and nice and straight. And now you're going to make sure it's doing the same all the way around. So you're going to kind of start on the one side. Once you have this in place and centered and your material is as far as it goes, just kind of hold that with your thumb there so it doesn't move. And that way, when you're tugging on this material to bring it closer and around, you're going to kind of fold it down and around, and then use your clips at this point to kind of hold underneath the hat and clip to those bars underneath. On the one side here. So now I've got this side through. Now I want to slide this side, do the same on this side. Bring it all the way around. And then once you get it nice and tight, just pull tight. And then put your clips on each side. So there's 2 on each side, holding the hat into place. So now it's held into place. And now you're going to bring this part around. I'm going to back up for that. Okay, so now we're ready to put this around the brim. So as you're bringing it up, you're making sure that one side is on this side and this is on the other. Now what you have to do as you're putting this down and in, you're going to have to slide that behind that little piece in the middle. So I'm going to get an angle on that now. Okay, so you see as I pull the brim back, I got all the material flush right to the back as far as it goes there. Then you're going to bring this around. Around. Now as you're coming down, you can pull the brim back just a little bit and just pull it back until you can get it inside there. Yeah. And now that'll slide under. Again, just push. If any material comes back or anything, just push it up with it. And now you're bringing it around, making sure that this part at the front is staying nice and tight to the front of the cap. And now you bring the latch around. Now let me get another angle there, because all you're doing from this point is ensuring that this is nice and tight. You can hold it with this hand here like this, and then use this hand to clip into place, which I'll show you now. Okay, so you're going to bring this down, again holding it with your other hand here to make sure it stays firmly against there. Now there's a little hangy piece here, so all you really have to do here is kind of push down. And you can use your other hand to push down as well, because this part is really tight, because you have to really get it tight. So I'm pushing it down until I exceed that part. Now I can push it up into there, and then you just pull this part back to make it super, super tight. Yeah. Okay, so this hat is ready to go on the machine and be embroidered. So you're going to push down on all 3. Remember, there's 3 of these tabs, so just push down on both of these. So just push the top 2 front ones or 2 top ones, and it sort of loosens, and then just hit that bottom one and it should pop right off. And there it goes. And now we're going to go insert it into the machine and get ready for embroidering. Okay, so when you're ready to load your hats into your machine, we've got to set the frame first to our cap frame. So let's do that. Okay, so we got our caps ready to go in. We just got to switch our frames. So what you're going to do is go over to tab 4, of course, hit your frame, hit your cap frame. So choose frame. So these are your choices. You're going to choose cap frame and then hit check mark. It'll center itself for your cap frame. Okay, and now you can set your image to where you want it on the hat. And again, if you want it from the center, you just hit this button here and it will move your image to the center. And then you can start. Okay, that'll move your image to the center. And now we're ready to load the hats. Okay, so let's get these loaded. So as you're loading them, you've got that center niche there. Okay, that little niche that's out is your center. And there's also a little groove here, a little niche here that you're gonna slide that. It only slides into that to let you know you're in the center of this frame. So what you do is you turn the cap sideways, because you can't put it in straight. So sideways until you pass the embroidery machine, until you pass your needles, and then you can sort of twist it up and then find that center. And it's just like clipping it into the piece that's the device that's on the table to put this in. You've got the 3 clips and you find the center, and again, you just push those into place. I'm holding on to the front of the hat and I've got my hands behind here, and I'm kind of squeezing it together slowly and evenly. So I'm squeezing it until I hear 3 clips. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Just squeeze it all in firmly. You can check to make sure that all 3 of your clips have locked into place. So you just kind of really give it a nice firm squeeze in together, squeezing it together. And we'll do the same with this one. Putting it in, twisting it until we find our center. You can pull the brim back a little bit if you have to there. Once you find it, get it in place, and then again, just pull together, kind of squeezing it together until all 3 clips are down. And now we're ready to embroider our hat. They're loaded and ready to go.